You check your phone 40 times before breakfast. Not because you need to, because 5 empty minutes feels like a small emergency. What if that panic is costing you something you can't get back? Every app on your phone is built by people. Their only job is making sure you're never bored. Autoplay, infinite scroll, a red dot that never lets you rest. This isn't an accident. It's the entire business model of the attention economy. Every second your mind is empty is a second nobody profits from, so that second gets filled before you even notice it's gone. The moment you feel a flicker of emptiness, something is already there to fill it. Radio, to television, to a screen that never sleeps in your pocket. Each generation, the gap between nothing to do and something to look at gets smaller. We've gotten so good at erasing boredom, most of us haven't sat with an empty 10 minutes in years. Even waiting rooms have televisions bolted to the wall now. Elevators play ads, gas pumps play news. Silence itself has started to feel like something broken, instead of just a room with nothing happening in it yet. But what if closing that gap erased something we actually needed? Here's what neuroscientists actually found. When your brain isn't focused on a task, it doesn't go quiet. It switches into something called the default mode network, the same circuitry active when you're daydreaming or imagining the future. It's also linked to memory consolidation, the process that turns a day's scattered experience into something you can actually recall later. Psychologist Sandy Mann ran a study on this. She had people copy numbers from a phone book, a deliberately boring task, before a creativity test. The bored group came up with more original ideas than the group that skipped straight to the test. Boredom didn't waste their time. It was quietly assembling raw material for what came next. Think of your mind like a field left fallow for a season. Nothing visible is happening on the surface. Underneath, the soil is recovering the nutrients next year's crop depends on. A field planted every single day with no rest eventually stops producing anything worth harvesting. Same soil, same sun, just no season where it's left alone. So when was the last time you let your mind lie fallow? Boredom used to be a shared, unremarkable part of being around people. Waiting in a car, sitting through a long dinner, walking somewhere with nothing to say. Those gaps used to be where conversation actually started, because there was nowhere else for your attention to go. Now the instinct, the moment a conversation lulls, is to look down, not up. Bored silence with another person used to be an invitation. Now it reads like a failure to be interesting enough. We haven't just gotten better at filling our own boredom. We've quietly agreed that boredom near another person is something to apologize for. Even couples on dates now sit scrolling side by side, physically together and privately elsewhere. Parents fill their kids' every gap too. A screen for the car ride, a screen for the waiting room, a screen for the quiet after dinner. A kid who's never bored never has to invent their own game or turn to the person next to them because there is nothing else to do. What conversation never happened because someone reached for their phone first? Some of our most essential ideas came out of exactly the empty stretches we're now engineering away. Long train rides with nothing to look at. Long walks with nowhere to be. A lot of scientific insight and creative work traces back to unstructured, understimulated time. Not to another hour of input. A society that fills every idle second with content isn't necessarily a more productive one. It might just be one that's quietly cutting off its own supply of new ideas at the root. We've optimized away the exact conditions insight depends on, and replaced them with the exact conditions distraction depends on. A culture that can't tolerate an empty afternoon is a culture that's outsourced its own thinking to whatever's loudest. What's the last genuinely new thought you had with your phone in your hand? So the next time you're standing in line or waiting for the kettle, with 5 unclaimed minutes in front of you, before you reach for the phone, try leaving the gap open. Not because boredom feels good in the moment. It doesn't. But underneath that flat, restless feeling, something is quietly working. The field is resting. Let it. If that landed, there's a new what if every week. See you on the next one.